right, what's going on, everyone? This is Ruben Escalona with Red Alpha Custom Prints with another live episode of Behind the X's and O's. I know that my logo in the back over here says of business, but it's behind the X's and O's of life, right? And so we have an awesome show. Looks like we got Chris Summers that just chimed in. Let's see. Let me do the layout. All right. Can you see me, Chris?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So we started a little bit early. I'm actually already live, so I hope you're ready to go.
I'm ready. Yeah, I was making sure that I got the camera and stuff all working since I moved out to my studio. I hadn't set the cameras up, so I've been trying to make sure that's all working. So I think we're good.
Yeah. So what I was doing is just doing an introduction to the show, and tonight what I was going to do a little bit differently is I was going to just announce a couple of sponsors of the show.
Nice.
And one of them is near to your heart, which is Spa Pet Grooming.
Oh yeah.
And so I wanted to get some feedback. Let me turn down the volume here. Sounds a little bit better.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. And so Spa Pet Grooming, located here in Abilene, Texas, 3301 South 14th. Website is spapetgrooming.com. And my show producer, my wife, and my partner in crime, she'll put that information in the chat for anybody who's tuning in a little bit early. That way, if you guys want to get in touch with Spa for all your pet grooming needs. Thank you guys for. You guys have been great customers of ours, so I figured I'd try to give back, pay it back to you guys for all your years of business.
Well, we appreciate that for sure.
Yes, sir. And then the next show sponsor is Premier Luxury Limo. Bonaficio with Premier Auto Customs is starting a new venture that we're actually helping out with. And so they're already looking at limo services, but we're going to help them with some advertising and things like that. And so we got their website set up, and we're going to be doing some other things. But Premier Luxury Limo is located here in Abilene, Texas at 834 Oak Street. Their website is www.premierluxurylimo. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram currently, and be on the lookout for some content coming up here pretty soon from them. But Chris, man, thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be our guest. And man, that feedback is just driving me nuts.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear that feedback?
I don't hear it.
Okay. It's on our end.
Oh, can't hear you now.
All right. Yeah, so it's maybe turn the volume down over here because I can hear some feedback. Okay. All right, I'll just have to deal with it. Yeah. So
that's why I put in the earphones.
Yeah. I can hear myself, and then I can hear. It's like I can hear it somewhere else, but it's not on my laptop. Anyways, so I was, I was kind of going through memory lane, just trying to think back when I first met you, and then I wrote it down. I put how we met, and I was like, this might be a good episode of how I met my friend Chris Summers, and if your kids are listening, how I met your dad. But if I'm not mistaken, it was downtown at the show that they had once a month. You had a booth set up at the show downtown that they set up. We had a booth, and my wife and I we were walking through. Can you hear that?
Yeah, that one I heard.
Yeah. So I don't know where that's from. I got this new microphone, man. It's probably the microphone that I got. So see if I can turn it down a little bit. Yeah, I got this new microphone, man, and I thought that I was upgrading, but the sound's kind of off.
It's a little more touchy.
Yeah, a little bit more touchy. And so yeah, it was downtown at the at a show, and my wife and I were just kind of looking at the museum, just things like that. And you were set up there. You had your retractable banner for Chris Summer's art, and so yeah, I can speak that. Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, and then so we went by to kind of check you out, and then I guess really the rest is history from there, man.
Right.
You ended up doing some things for us, and
Hmm.
we connected with you, and man, it's been a nice little ride ever since. You created
Yeah.
some of our logos for our business.
Right.
It's been pretty cool.
Yeah. It's cool because I got to do some things that I hadn't had the chance to do that much of working with you, like the vehicle wraps and kind of learning how that to design for that and all that kind of stuff. You know, we kind of figured all that out together,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And at that time, I remember, so we were just trying to establish ourselves, in the vehicle wrap industry.
hmm
And one of the memories that I have, it's kind of like whenever they heard that we had Chris Summers designing for us, it just kind of that opened the door for us.
well,
So it was a pretty cool deal. And I was like, man, I said, it's really important to have the right graphic designer or design team,
right,
working with you. That way, it's like at least that's one thing that you know that's going to be on point.
right,
And so over the years, we had to make some adjustments. You got busy doing your thing,
yeah,
and we had to go recruit some other people. But one of the things that our time together taught me was how important it is to have the right design team. Because it really doesn't matter if you have the best printers, but if your designs don't look good, it's going to mess up the process.
right,
Yeah.
definitely.
So you've been designing I mean, you were already designing before you and I met.
Yeah,
So how long have you been actually doing graphic design?
graphic design and the comic book stuff I've been doing. I try to think back. It's about 25 years, I think,
Wow.
somewhere in there. Um, I had gone to school, for advertising and graphic design, and then my wife got a job. She was working for the Department of Agriculture, and she got a job in Plainview, Texas, and we moved there. There wasn't a whole lot going on with graphic design and stuff at that point. Small little town, so it was hard to do anything like that. And so I kind of went on the back burner for a while. And I was working retail. And then when my wife moved on from the USDA, she got a job with PetSmart as one of their managers for their grooming department. And they transferred us to North Richland Hills up in the DFW area. And so I was working for Target up there, and we had our son James. He was, I think, 3 or so at the time,
Yeah.
and what I was making working for Target literally covered his daycare.
Yeah.
And so, my wife had a better job than I did, and so we talked about it and decided. Really, she's the one that decided. She was like, "Why don't you just stay home with him?" And because we're paying that much anyway, we're just letting somebody else watch him for 6-8 hours a day, just so you can go to work and pay for the daycare. So I ended up doing that, and with having him, there was a lot of time during the day where he's napping or kind of doing his own little thing, and I started looking back into comics and graphic design, and that was when the internet was just kind of getting enough to widespread enough and fast enough that you could actually not have to live in a major metropolitan area
Yeah.
like New York or LA, to be able to work in like comics and that kind of thing. And so comics was always where my heart was. I'd collected comics since I was 10 or 11 years old. And so I used that extra time, that free time I had, to start teaching myself and getting back into all that. And I kept doing that over the course of a couple of years. And as my son went on into pre-K and stuff like that, I started going, kind of branching out and started talking to other artists and colorists, and then went to one of the Wizard World shows back when they still had those conventions in Dallas,
Yeah.
and took a portfolio, talked to quite a few different artists and colorists, and ended up getting connected with a guy named Moose Bauman, and he was the color artist on Green Lantern. And I was doing something called flatting, which in the comic book world, when it's when you take a black and white page and you separate all of the elements of that page into their own colors. So if this guy appears 3 times on the page, his suit's always the same color, and his face is always the same color, so that then the colorist can go in and quickly select those areas to work on. And so I started doing that for him on Green Lantern, and then he was doing that for him, and at the same time I was getting high quality art to practice on. So I would flat those for him, and then I would practice on it myself, and started, and he would give me critiques and feedback, and eventually got to where I was kind of being his color assistant. I would flat it, but then I would also go in and do some of the background work, and that way it freed him up a little bit more to be a little faster and that kind of deal. So that was kind of how I got started. And then, the graphic design stuff, obviously I started designing banners for myself, and then had people asking me to do that for them. Up in the Dallas area, some good friends of ours worked for the Michaels store, and he was actually a graphic designer for them. And so he kind of taught me some things I didn't know about graphic design. And a lot of times he would get some outside work, and if he was too busy to do it, he would pass it over to me, that kind of thing. And so that was kind of where I got into the graphic design part of it, as well as the comic stuff. So
Wow. So it wasn't really too much before we started, because we're going on, believe it or not, 16 years
yeah,
of being in business. So man, we met. I guess it was probably been 13, 14 years.
yeah,
Had pretty close to the beginning. I know we didn't really have a steady graphic designer until I met you.
right,
And then there we were able to kind of network, and we've always had a good design team. So
yeah.
you are the one that I very much give credit for putting us on the map.
Well, I appreciate that. I wouldn't have anything to design if you hadn't had something to do. So
Yeah.
it was your hustle,
Yeah.
going out there and finding the business, that gave me something to be able to design. So,
Yeah.
I saw, how hard you worked and everything, and that was what, sometimes you have to be careful on who you work with.
Yeah.
And, watching your hustle to go out there, and if there was a mistake, you took care of it. You were always, you were learning.
Plenty of those.
Yeah, you were learning, and that was just it. There's a lot of people that make a mistake and they're just like, oh no, and just push it off. And anytime we had an issue, whether it was my design for some reason wasn't quite right, or, the wrap, it didn't print, or the wrap, ended up having some problems,
Yeah.
you always were quick to take care of it. So it made me more comfortable working with you on that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so like I said, if it wasn't for you getting out there and hustling to get everything started and going, I wouldn't have had anything to design. So
Yeah. And speaking of design, man, it's like, I mean, you designed the very first version of, man, so many things, of the Armor of God apparel by Red Alpha,
yeah, I remember
the
that.
AOG. That design and that brand is always near and dear to my heart. The actual the Rootster cartoon character,
Yeah, that's right.
you came up with that design, which that guy was the beginning. You know, he was kind of like, I don't know what it was. It wasn't like I heard somebody say this is the way to go, because it almost seemed like companies were getting away from that, you know, where it was too cheesy, you know. But
Right.
then you give it 10 years and that kind of stuff comes back in full circle, and I never did abandon it. I was like, I'm
Right.
not going to get rid of the mascots. I'm going to keep them, and if anything, I'm going to just like create more of them.
Right. Expanding.
Yeah, because the way that I saw it is I was able to tell stories,
Hmm.
you know, and so I was telling stories through these characters. You know, whether, I don't know if you want to call it like it was just from my imagination. I don't want to say alter ego or any of that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I know
But
what
you
you
know,
mean.
it's just kind of extensions of me, and so that Rootster came up with, you know, it was just like in my head, the Chronicles of the Rootster. So I was like, anytime I have a story that is fit with that, I've even had, you know, the Rootster's been on, you know, in my imagination journeys with Rick and Morty, and I got a big old print, you know, of him with Rick and Morty.
Right.
I got a print, you know, with him doing a Patronus charm, you know, dressed up like a wizard, you know,
Right.
and during COVID, you know, he was dressed up like a doctor, you know, and just we were doing social distancing type stuff, and
Right.
so it was just a way for me to kind of like promote our services, but by telling a story and
Yeah.
not just putting a picture of a product, you know.
Right.
And so yeah, I think that I've been telling stories before it was cool, you know, and it's just something that I like doing, and that kind of that thing just kind of led to what I'm doing here. It's just,
Right.
you know, I think people are probably tired of hearing my story, but maybe they want to hear your story. And
Yeah.
so I was like, maybe I should start talking to people about their story and not just always talk about mine. You know,
Yeah. Right on. Yeah.
and so I'd be surprised. You know, I told you I was surprised at how people were willing to, you know, come on and tell their story, and just I haven't had to beg anybody yet.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not too proud to beg, so but I haven't had to do it yet.
Yeah. Right on. Well, yeah. You know, the one thing, you meet a lot of people. You have a pretty big network of people, and uh, a lot of, I would say, because of that, you also probably have a lot of unique
Yeah.
stories that people have, and so yeah. So I mean, I think it's really cool. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
to see kind of the branching out, and you know, making it, you know, it's you know, from Red Alpha Custom Prints to, I don't know, man, you're pretty soon you're gonna be like Red Alpha Media or something.
Yeah,
So
you're pretty close, man. Red Alpha Studios,
there you go.
and
See.
it's just like an organic thing, and it's like, I mean, I'm telling you, I don't have a plan, man. I'm winging all of this. We're doing hip pocket stuff, and you know, if it doesn't work, I'll try a different way. You know, but one thing's for sure, we're gonna be doing something, you know, for the rest of my life. We're gonna be
Yeah.
doing something.
Yeah.
But you know, I thought that, you know, because my wife and I, we're not spring chickens anymore, man. Uh, and it's like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna want to be getting up on ladders and doing installs and things like that.
Right.
Whether I'm physically able to do it or not, I just don't know if I want to be doing it for, you know, for another 10 to 15 years, man.
Yeah. I understand.
But I can sit here and do this all day, every
Sure.
day, for the rest of my life, probably. So we'll see how it goes, man.
Right. Right. You know, man. Sometimes you have to. You gotta start delegating. You know, you keep it going and have to
Yeah.
hire on a little bit of a crew and keep it going and let you
Yeah.
focus on some of the other things or whatever. But yeah, it's a good thing though, man, to kind of keep expanding and growing. So
Yeah, you never know, man. One of these days I'm gonna find the right thing. But Red Alpha Custom Prints is like it's like my baby,
Oh yeah.
So, but my baby's growing up. He's a teenager now, and at 16 years old is whenever you normally get your driver's license. So, he thinks he can run on his own and stuff like that just because he's got his own car, and but I still got to keep him in line. We're being close. He hasn't moved out of the house yet. Uh, but he's getting close. He's 16 years old. Well, about to be 16.
Right. Right.
But yeah, it feels like that, man. It feels like I gave, well, my wife and I gave birth to this thing,
Oh
and
yeah.
there's been a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of all that stuff that people say, the blood, sweat, and tears, and all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Um, and so, literally, blood, sweat, and tears. I remember embroidering my finger one time, and I was like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't
Oh
sign
yeah.
up. I was supposed to be embroidering a cat, and I ended up embroidering my finger, and so I lived to tell the tale.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't sound fun at all.
No. So the graphic design, the comic books, man, that is something that has always fascinated me. And every time that you make a post, on a new comic that you're working on, I mean, I'm just like all over it. I love it. Whenever you started selling your prints on, online, I was like, man, I want to be part of the first show, and I want to buy something. Which actually, if you don't mind, I have it right here.
Oh yeah. Right on.
It's a
Yeah. The
Chris
Darth
Summer
Maul.
special right there, the Darth Maul.
Yep.
It was you were selling it on your shop. What's the name of your shop?
It was on Whatnot. I think it's just Chris Summers art. That's what
Yeah.
it is. So I haven't been on Whatnot lately. There's just been a lot going on. But
Yeah,
yeah, I defaced it for you.
yeah, man, I appreciate it. Oh, that's a Chris Summer special, and so yeah, I just and then another thing, I was hoping to print the what you did with the my character Tipo Tamale.
Yeah.
And so that came out great, and I was like, I knew all along, I was like, one of these, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but somewhere in this story, he's gonna be, posed like the old Batman, the classic Batman print.
Right.
And I said, man, I just imagined it like that, and I don't even know how that's gonna happen, but like in my mind, I'm thinking at some point in the story, whenever I finally do get to the point to where I'm putting together the comic, that image is gonna be on there. And,
Right.
and I'm kind of hoping that you'll help me with the covers and all that stuff. 'Cause I
Of
don't
course.
know anything about this, man. It's just, but one of the things that I am excited about, which I know some people don't like it, but it's helped people like me get in the game, which is the advancement in AI.
Yeah.
And so I need to hear from you because you got two things. You got the graphic design,
Mhm.
and you're also one of the guitarists, the rhythm guitarist, if I'm not mistaken, for a local band here in Abilene called Rear Naked Choke.
Mhm.
We'll talk a little bit about that, but before we do, I wanted to just kind of introduce this topic right here
Sure.
of AI and graphic design and in music, and kind of hear your perspective on that.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I I think that AI has a place and will have a place in the future. Um, I think a lot of people right now on the art side, music side, are one of their issues is, and I can understand it, is that the way that AI works, especially when you get into graphic design, illustration, things like that, is that it's trained off of all these artists and all this art that's online.
Yeah.
And in that way, so for example, in a comic setting, a lot of times you will have someone who will do an homage cover, right? So it's a cover and they laid it out and set it up similar to somebody that did that in the past, right? So whenever you did that, if you did that and tried to present that always as your own thing that you came up with,
Hmm.
there was a stigma to that.
Yeah.
But the people that did it in the way that it was, an homage, which is what they started calling it, it was an homage cover, would actually, freely admit, hey, this, I took, a Jack Kirby cover that I loved when I was a kid and reading comics, and I used that. This is kind of my version of it, and so it's, something like that. They would then put it, in their signature and everything. It would say so and so artist after so and so. So if it was Jim Lee doing a Jack Kirby, it would say Jim Lee after Jack Kirby. And so right now, that's kind of what's going on with AI, except they don't give the credit to the artists that they're learning from, that the AI is learning from.
Yeah.
They don't get permission that the AI is learning from, and so it feels like it's being trained and stealing their artwork.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can understand that.
Yep. Yep.
I can understand that, but what I've always said, and this is no offense to anyone, because I will tell you, I will be honest, I have used and do use AI.
Yep.
The way that I use it is the way that I feel like it, as an artist, it should be used. Is that if I'm trying to come up with a pose or an idea or something, and I have it in my head, but I just can't picture it, I will go into AI, kind of type in the prompts that I'm looking for, and it'll spit out some images. Now these images are not what I then go, hey, here's my work.
Right.
But
Right.
I will look for them and find parts that I like, and do what's called photo bashing, which is when you take elements of a photograph or multiple images, put them together, and then I will use that as my basis, and then create it for my, from that point on. But it opens up being able to, instead of me having to sit down and try to, spend several hours doodling, thumbnails and or trying to find reference for a certain pose, it speeds that up, And now in 10 minutes I can have 10 different ideas and go, oh, I really like that pose, I think this is a good idea, I think this, and then take elements from that, use that as a reference, which is, there's always a stigma in art, and it's kind of silly of reference when you're young, and I had this too when I was young. I was like, no, you're not supposed to use reference. Everything comes from right here, and you need to be able to. But when you do that, you limit yourself, because there's only so much that you can know, and going and finding reference helps your work to look better. Now, I don't mean trace it, because there's a difference between tracing or copying as to to reference. So all these, like when you look at the Empire State Building, right, and you have to draw that in the background, or the Statue of Liberty, you go and you look at a picture of it, because I know in my mind, I know how those look, but I don't know how those look, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I know what it is, and I know some about it, but as far as being able to draw it with the detail it needs, I don't have that up here.
That's right.
And so that's kind of the deal. So with AI art, again, I think that it eventually will get to a point where you have artists that use it to help their workflow, and you will have people that will use it, thinking that they don't need an artist anymore.
Yeah.
And those things right now, it's kind of hard, but eventually those will continue to get bigger and bigger, the gulf between that, because AI can only do so much before it becomes overly noticeable
Yeah.
and kind of stops being what you want.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's the same thing with music. With music, now you're going to have people that are going to do, you know, they're gonna make a song in AI, and they're gonna just post it and be like, "This is a cool new song I wrote," and there's nothing from them there.
Yeah.
But in music, I think it can be used the same way. I have an idea, I can put that in. A lot of the AI music places now will allow you, so I can record a guitar riff, but I'm like, I don't know where to go from here, and I
Yeah.
can put it in there and generate some ideas that helps me go, oh, I like this idea, and
Yeah.
helps me to figure out a way to move forward with that song. Or I hear it in my head and I need some drums for it, and so I need to I put it in there and I let it build some drums based off of what I've already written
Yeah.
and what I'm telling it I want it to sound like.
Mhm.
Now, doing that, I'm not going to then turn around and just put that out there. It is something that I go, okay, great. This is now a complete idea. And
Mhm.
now, either if it's just me, my own music, that's not with the band, then I take it and I start working it out
Yeah.
and expand and build off of that idea that
Yeah.
AI helped me come up with,
Mhm.
which was based off of something that I had already written.
Yeah.
Or, same thing as if it's in a band context, take it and show these guys and say, hey, here's kind of what I'm hearing. This is kind of, and then we come in and go, okay, the drummer is like, I got that. I'm not going to play that, which is fine, but I got the idea, the feel, what
Yeah.
it's going for, what
Yeah.
the idea is behind the song, and the feeling of the song and the mood of the song and the the rhythm of the song, that kind of thing. So again, I think that's what's going to happen. Just like when Photoshop first came out, right? Artists
Yeah.
were freaking out about it.
Right.
Right? Artists were freaking out about it, and in comics it was like they're gonna replace all the colorists. They're just gonna be able to throw it in there and get it cut. It'll color automatically, or they can just give it to some guy in the office and he'll be able to just go in there
Yeah.
and do it, and the art's gone. Or photographers, like, oh well, now anybody can go in and edit photos and do all this real easy. And what happens is you have some people that are like, they I use the word cheap, but I don't mean it in that way. But you have a group of people, and usually they realize their mistake at some point. But it's
Yeah.
that the art part of it is replaceable with the technology,
Yeah.
and and in some ways, like with AI right now, that is true.
Mhm.
But the art that it creates is never going to be. It may be pretty, it may be smooth and slick, but there is something that's about an artist, and
Yeah.
their actual hand work, on a page, or on digital painting or canvas or whatever, that
Mhm.
always is going to, I think, trump that.
Yeah.
And from a from a point of view of somebody who has clients, right? So somebody wants me to do something for them.
Mhm.
What I feel like is going to happen, which is really a good thing, is that you're going to have the people. So this is, I guess I'll get a little analogy here, or not an analogy, but something I've noticed is that I've worked for an independent person who is, trying to put out their first comic book, right?
Yeah.
Or trying to get their comic book published, and they have only this much in their budget, right? It's a small
Yeah.
budget. That's fine if I agree to work on it. That's fine. I'm willing to do that.
Mhm.
And then I've worked for uh, big companies that have big budgets, and and so their budget is 5 times what the independent guys is.
Yeah.
When I work with the big company, I turn in my work, and I may get a note or two back on it, some minor things, and go on. When I've worked for the small independent guy, I don't go, oh well, I'm only getting paid this much, so I'm only going to do this level of work.
Yeah.
That's not that doesn't help me.
Right.
It might
That's not
save
who you are, basically.
exactly. It's not, and so I'm going to give as much effort to the small guy as I am to the big guy, right?
Yeah.
But I find out that the small guy, a lot of times, not everybody, but a lot of times, will send me back pages of notes, of they want this and they want this and they want this, and it'll be like, hey, this character, so and so is in the background of panel 2, and his hair should be a dirty blonde. But the problem is, by the time that book is printed, that character's head is this small, and it's going to be a smudge that you couldn't tell what color it is, even if you tried.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things. So so what I think is going to happen with AI is that the people that are kind of like that, right, that don't want to really pay, are going to use it for that, and they're going to be like, because I don't need an artist, I can do this.
Yeah.
And their results will snowball and show
Yeah.
versus the ones that do. So does it mean less work for me? Possibly, maybe less clients for me,
Yeah.
but that means that the clients that I'm going to get are probably going to be of a higher quality.
Yeah.
They're looking for, they're coming to me because they want me to do what I do,
Yeah.
not want to control me through, like, like the AI, and give me all these notes and then want me to go and do that,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. So I think that that's where we will get to, is
Yeah.
that the quality of the clients artists are going to get will be a little bit higher, and the ones that are really and truly the headache to deal with, the ones that frustrate you more, will kind of go away, and they'll use the tools that are out there and to do what they do, and I don't doubt some of them can turn out some really good work. But yeah, I think that that's where it's going to lead, and in art for sure. I think that's kind of where we'll get to, and then music. I think the same thing. I've heard a lot of music that is AI, right?
Yeah.
And some of it sounds pretty good,
Yeah.
but you can tell that it's not quite right. It just
Yeah.
doesn't feel like it has the depth. And I, you could probably take a song that was written with AI, and then give it to someone to record, give it to a band to record and
Yeah.
to go from, and that song could be fundamentally the same, but the feel will come out in the real musicians playing it,
Yeah.
that the AI just can't capture.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah. I think I know like a different way to say that is that AI is basically taking the soul out of the different forms of art.
It does, yeah.
And one of the things, like, I came up with a brand, several years ago, called Soul Swole.
Yeah.
And if you remember, I asked you if I could print your picture, and it was one that, at a concert that I just
Yeah.
like. This is really awesome. Our
My wife.
graphic, our
Yeah, my
graphic.
wife.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Okay. My wife still wears the shirt.
Yeah.
Sometimes she'll come out and she's wearing that. I'm just like, oh man. I mean, It's
Well, so
it's
so that picture captured the essence of what I was trying
right,
to describe through the brand, right?
right.
And so the idea behind the brand is that if it feeds the soul, then it's soul swole.
Yes.
So the swole is obviously, you're building your muscles and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, but you can build that side of you through different forms of art.
Yeah.
And so music is definitely one of those.
Yep.
And so I think that AI sort of takes that soulness
Exactly.
out of the art, right?
Yeah.
It still can be classified as art, right? But it's without the soul,
Yeah.
right? And so I have a perspective from the flip side, like a company that has to put out a bunch of different things, right?
Sure.
And so for me to like pay a graphic designer for every single, like I do so many things, like my whole budget would go to that, everything
Sure.
would go to that.
Sure.
But if it's something that it's a customer's, like a customer's wrap, a customer's logo, or a customer's, their merchandise, anything like that, I have human graphic designers that
Sure.
put those things together. Our stuff just needs to get the attention and get the word out. You know
Right.
what I mean? And so I do recognize that whenever AI does its thing, it seems to be like it goes through a phase or something where all of the AI art looks the same.
Hmm.
The wording, the fonts, like if you look, like right now, every single flyer looks the same. They're using the same fonts, the same graphics behind it. The oversaturation of images, like it's
Yeah.
just crazy. But
Yeah.
it's a lot better than what it was a couple of years ago. Because
Sure.
man, it was like there was a vehicle having. I said, "There's no way that the front and the back, of this vehicle should be facing forward at the same time," and it would drive me nuts, man. I'm like,
Yep.
cats do not have human hands, and humans don't have feet for hands.
Yep.
It would drive me nuts, man. And so I'm happy that now at least it makes it look the way it's supposed to, sort of.
Sure.
But it still gets it wrong a little bit. But
Oh yeah.
that's kind of my take on on the printed type stuff. We also use AI for our creative freedom.
Yeah.
So like what you said, finding references and man, that right there used to take
Yeah.
forever.
Oh yeah.
Because for some reason a customer, they don't know what they want sometimes, but they know what they don't want, right? It's amazing how that works. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so just tell me what you want and we'll do it. Well, I don't know what I want. Okay, well, so we're gonna do something. Oh no, that's not it. And okay, let's make a revision. Oh, that's not it. And I just came to the conclusion that people don't know what they want sometimes, but they know what they don't want,
Oh
and
yeah.
they want you to keep revising until you kind of get into their head.
Right.
And so that caused us to put together what's called a creative brief, where
Sure.
it's like, okay, you answer these questions here, and then we're gonna try to come up with a concept based on the way that you answer these questions. And then, once we have a concept, then we're going to do a few revisions. And then, if it starts becoming a new concept, then it's a new design fee, that type of thing. But we had to
Yeah.
do that because, man,
Oh
we
yeah.
revised for 24 hours on a $15 t-shirt, and it's like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And we have
Exactly.
to pay the graphic designer to do that. So there's no money being made. It's like,
Yeah.
I might as well just pay the graphic designer, give them a tip or something because there's no money being made on it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, and that's and that's the thing when that's what a lot of people don't understand. When you're an artist, generally you're not paid by the hour that you're working. You're paid by the project,
Right.
or in comic books you're paid by the page, right? So you have it's called a page rate. So so the more pages I can do in a day, the more I get paid in a sense.
Right.
And so it's the same way with designs. And like I said, that's where I feel like AI can really help because it can speed that initial process up and let you get to what you're wanting for the end goal faster. So that, and exactly, I mean, that's the way. But But then, as long as it ends up in a person's hands that are doing the final work,
Yeah.
that's where the soul of things come in, like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's I agree with you there, and
Yeah.
like I said, that's the same thing that I was saying. When they want 3 or 4 ideas or whatever, running it through AI with with these ideas. Let's see what looks best, or let's see what's kind of conveying that and looks the most interesting, and then work from that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's 6:30,
Okay.
and it has become our tradition that we're going to give a community spotlight. Is there any music for the community spotlight? My wife, the producer, got to play something. It's like
Right on.
kind of get me in the feel of it. No, she's looking. She's looking where it is. Oh, okay, so we're gonna clap. But so Chris, during this we take a couple minutes to give anybody in the community that maybe have like here recently, like if there's somebody that you worked with, a company, organization or anything like that that you'd like to give a shout out. We want to give you the opportunity to do that. I got a couple of people that I'll shout out, and then we'll move on to the next section, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Well, obviously to Red Alpha, because
Oh,
because you guys let me do some things that, like I said, I learned how to do new things working with
yeah,
you guys.
yeah.
Um, so I definitely appreciate you guys, and you know, uh,
My eyes are leaking. Nah.
yeah, yeah, allergies, man,
Yeah, my
allergies.
eyes are sweating.
Um, Man, there's so much in Abilene. Got to give a shout out to Mick over at Downtown Tattoo. Great,
Nick.
yeah, Mick and Jade and everybody there. They're great people. Obviously,
Yep.
Mick is the singer in my band,
Yep.
but he's just a really good dude, and
Yeah.
he's somebody
Mick,
that.
Mick did this tattoo right there, by the way.
Yep,
He
yep.
did
There you
my
go.
Red Alpha logo right there.
Yeah, actually, he's got he has 2 little girls, and he recently got remarried, and so he's also got, I believe, well, he's got 3 little girls now, and then I think he got 2 bonus girls in there with the marriage,
Oh,
and they are doing I believe it's a lemonade stand
yeah.
over the next few days to raise money to help uh, to help some needy kids with school supplies and stuff as the
Oh,
school.
cool, cool,
So
cool.
yeah, so all the money that they're making through their lemonade stand, the girls actually came up with that idea and wanted to do it, and
Oh,
so all the money that's coming in through that, they're going to be donating to get school supplies and stuff for some of the kids that may not
awesome.
have it this year. So I think that's a really cool thing. So I would say
Yeah.
definitely go by. It's at they're doing it at Mix Shop at uh,
Okay.
it's Downtown Tattoo
Yeah.
on North Six. I don't remember the exact address, but on North
Yeah. Yeah.
Six. So
Yeah. You can't miss them. They're right there on North Six. Mick, if you're listening, you can expect us to come. Is it like all day or
I
certain
think
hours
it
during the
I
day?
think it was starting at 5 o'clock today till like 8, and then I think they're doing it all the way through Saturday.
Okay.
I
Okay.
could be wrong. It may be through Friday, but I know they were going to do it for a couple of days there.
Awesome. So yeah, we're definitely my wife and I will definitely stop by and get us some lemonade, make a donation because I mean the way I look at it, you're doing God's work. You're helping people
Yep.
with backpacks and stuff like that. So anybody who's doing anything like that, man, it's and if we can, I definitely want to do something, to be a blessing to them.
Yeah.
So thanks, man. Thanks for those shout outs. Thank you for shouting us out. You know,
Of
uh,
course.
you used one of your shout outs on me, which I guess is all right. Is there anybody else? If there's anybody else you want,
Man, I could go on all day, so we better go ahead and get to yours.
yeah, yeah. So I don't have anybody to shout out, so I'm gonna go ahead and shout out you, Chris Summers, and then Paul. I mean, there's so many people, man. It's like
There
the
is.
Premier Luxury Limo, those guys over there on Oak Street. There's a new group of people that basically what we're trying to do, and actually it's not even my idea. It's from Bonifacio, who's the owner of Premier Auto Custom, is we're sort of putting together a network, like a family of companies
Nice.
that are all part of automotive restyling, right? And so he does the paint and body, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do the wraps and the graphics, and then just right down the street is Leroy Santana with Private Reserves Auto Detailing,
Okay.
and so we're talking about doing some extra stuff. That limo service that we're working on, that's part of the collaboration, if you want to call it. But man, it's just a group of friends like trying to put together like like a little network, and we're supporting each other, and we're referring each other to other people, and we're doing business with each other, and trying to just create more community,
Sure.
and so we went to the not included car club, and then those people, it's just it's like if you want to call it God, just connecting us to the different people, to where it's like, hey, let's just kind of let's be friends, and let's do business, and then help each other and support each other, and
Right.
if you're doing something, I want to be a support to that, and vice versa. It's been a cool thing. I guess not
That's awesome.
included. Got to give you guys a shout out too, man. You guys have been a blessing to us and letting us set up a booth, and man, this is my first year setting up a booth at different shows, and we're loving it, man. Because for years it's just kind of like all I was doing is working, and I didn't have enough energy to go set up at any shows or even like go to your concerts, So
Right.
I'm hoping that you guys start playing again, so that way I can make up for all of those years of not showing up, or just showing up to bring your shirts and say, hey, I gotta go. I'm exhausted, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
know you spent some late nights, early mornings,
yeah,
and
yeah,
long afternoons doing some stuff for us on short notice when
yeah,
we're
man.
like we realized, oh dang, we're out, man. Hey Ruben, can you help us out? And
Yeah, yeah.
you always did it for us. So
Yeah, and then so you guys were definitely there's only a handful of people that I would do anything for. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't matter if it's like an unusual request. There are a handful of people that I've been over backwards for, and you guys, you and your wife, but then you guys with Rear Naked Choke are one of them. It's just I look at it like I said, you helped put me on the map, and so I'm forever. I feel like I'm forever in your debt, and you put up with me in my learning phase, and I know that that's not easy. It takes a lot
uh,
of patience,
mhm.
as a customer, to put up with someone that messes up as often as I do, or I did, and so I just wanted to like just let you know I'm really grateful for that.
Well, like I said, man, we both learned a lot on the way. You know what I mean? We were
Yeah,
both learning things, which was good because whenever I was able to help you on some things,
yeah,
I was always glad to do it, and vice versa. So
yeah, yeah.
I knew that if I needed it, I could holler at you, and I knew it would
Yes, sir. Yes,
get
sir.
taken care of. So
Yeah, and it was a bunch of different things, man. Like the next thing, with the rear naked choke, first of all, the music is just awesome.
thank you.
And so it's just my style of music, man. I've
Sure.
listened to every style of music, and I like different songs and in different genres,
Right.
So I consider myself pretty fluent in music.
Right.
Growing up, in the '80s, right? I was born in the '70s, but I was a kid in the '80s, and then I've experienced probably every format of music,
Sure.
from vinyl records, or well, actually 8-track tapes to MP3s and MP4s. I don't know if they're what's streaming. I guess that's
Yeah.
where we're at now, and and so even the big old DVDs, that were about like that big,
Yeah. They're laser discs.
the laser disc, and so throughout all of that, man, it was like music was a constant in my life, and it's like I
Hmm.
never played the instrument, but I think I've shared this with you, because a lot of my family are musicians,
Yeah.
and my dad, my biological father, was a singer songwriter. He was a guitar player for a gospel band back in the '70s and '80s and even early '90s. They recorded some albums, and they're called the Samaritanos, which is the Samaritans in English.
Okay.
And so they were a gospel band, and so being that I have his same name, people would ask me, "Do you know how to play the guitar like him?" And I don't, but I've always felt like I had some type of musical spirit in me, if you want to call it.
Sure.
And that's what got me thinking that music is spiritual,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, because it's like you can hear a song from when you were a kid, and you're a kid again,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, for that moment while that song. I mean, anytime Guns N' Roses comes on and Sweet Child of Mine, and I'm like, oh man, I am like back, in middle school. I guess it was middle school, and or if it's Skid Row, I was in high school. All of those bands.
Right.
Kiss was my very first concert as a kid. Believe it or not, in when they came to Abilene, I was
Yep.
like 78. I was probably 5 years old when they came, and my sisters were into the same type of music, so they took me, and so just music has always been a part of my life, and then it just seems like a lot of the people that I'm connected with, right, are musicians. They're in bands, and
Right.
and we just kind of get along, and it's and you guys have been one of the coolest, I think. Okay, disclaimer: I love everybody. I love everybody. So if you're listening and you hear what I'm saying right now, I'm sorry, but I love these guys with Rear Naked Choke, and because I know there's a lot of people they're gonna be like, oh man, what about us? And I don't want to make it sound like that, but Rear Naked Choke has a sound that I love. When you gave me the demo tape, whenever you guys were first putting together that first album,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just like amazing. Suicide Betsy is my favorite song.
Right on.
I Will
I,
Rise is good, but Suicide Betsy, I was listening to today because I was actually going to I was looking for the lyrics,
okay.
and I was going to print it out, and I was going to ask you if you're into poetry, and I was going to read the lyrics to see if you recognize the song, uh, but I couldn't find the lyrics, man, and I didn't have time to write them down,
Right on. All good.
but yeah, man, it's and then the design, with the your mascot with with the mask, and then obviously right here in the middle, you explained that to me, like the dots was the rear naked choke,
Yeah, it's a guy that I
that
came
right
up
there,
with. Yeah.
the symbolism,
Yep.
and I remember that because that was right about the time I was like, man, it would be cool because I'm a Blade fan, you
Okay.
know,
Yep.
and so I was getting my logo in my head, and barbers were doing my logo and stuff like that, and I, the tattoo of my logo, and I was thinking something about the familiars, right? It's like I wanted to create some sort of brand with the like the whatever those symbols that are on that movie
Yeah.
Blade.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never did do that, but whenever you came out with that, I was like, man, that's pretty cool. The rear naked choke as a symbol, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one. That one. I don't know where it came from. That was just one of those deals that, for some
Hmm.
reason, it just hit me, and
Yeah.
and it worked. But
Yeah.
yeah. With me and Mick especially, Mick being a tattoo artist, and me with the graphic design and comic book stuff, art's played, like visual art has played a lot of role in even the music side of things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, and which
Yeah.
has been cool. That was kind of when the band first started. I was not the original rhythm guitar player.
Hmm.
My cousin Mike was one of the guitar players,
Yeah.
and Josh, who is our other guitar player now, his brother was the second guitar player.
Hmm.
And I ended up going over there. My cousin had called me and asked me to come over. Uh, we had just moved back to Abilene, in the last, I guess, let's see, we had probably been back maybe about a year.
Hmm.
I was born in Abilene, and then, like I said, we moved, got married. We lived in Lubbock, then Plainview, then the DFW area,
Hmm.
and anyway, eventually got our way back here. And he called me up one night or one day, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Nothing." He goes, "You got plans tonight?" I was like, "No, what's going on?" He said, "Well, So we kind of got a band going, and I want you to come over because the other guitar player has a multi effects pedal that he's using and sounds terrible. Can you come fix it? And so, that was kind of always my thing with music. I was always kind of the tech guy, right? Knowing the technology and following that. And so I was like, yeah, sure. So I went over there and made some adjustments and everything. And of course, I knew Mick. I've known Mick for almost 30 years, getting
Wow.
close to 30 years. I've known Mick.
Right.
I'd met him when he first came to Abilene, like within the first couple of weeks, because I was working at a music store
Mhm.
and here in town that was called Modern Music,
Yeah.
and he came in there, and that's where I met him, and then kind of kept on. But so I knew Mick, and of course Mike, my cousin, and so I just kind of went over there, and they were asking me about doing some art for it, things like that, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. And then, you know, I would hear things, in the music or whatever, and kind of did the tech thing, for a little bit, and they played one show, and then Eric, the other guitar player, left. He uh,
Yeah.
he kind of got involved in some stuff that, and just kind of let it all fall to the wayside,
Yeah.
and it happened right about the time they were about to play another show,
Mhm.
and so they ended up playing that as a four piece,
Mhm.
with Mick playing a little backup guitar and singing.
Yeah.
And so then they took a little break, and during that time, I was, music had always been kind of the second place thing, right? Art was my main deal,
Yeah.
and so all of my time was pretty much spent. I'd say 90% of my spare time was spent with art, drawing and all that, and then the other 10% I played music. But I enjoyed playing guitar and everything, but it was the second. It was you know, the second love, if you will.
Yeah.
But once I started doing art full time as my job, which, don't get me wrong, calling it a job is stretching a little bit. It's I can't. It's hard to complain
Yeah.
when you're doing something you love like that.
Yeah.
And there are days where it feels more like work, but even those days are better than somebody who's doing a 9 to 5 job that they absolutely
Amen,
hate.
brother.
You
Amen.
know, and so I don't want anybody to think, oh, poor artist
That
has to
Chris
work.
has to work.
Yeah. But when I did that, suddenly, and it's not that I didn't still love doing art, but I needed something away from art. I needed something away from the
Yeah.
drawing and the painting or the digital coloring, and
Yeah.
so I kind of went back to music.
Mhm.
And during that time that RNC kind of took a break, um, Mike called me up and was like, "Hey, I want uh, grab your guitar and come over here because I hear some things in some of our songs that I would like to add some solos, some harmonies, just some different things." And he was like, "But I need somebody else playing guitar so I can work it out." And
Yeah.
so I was like, "Okay," so I went over there, and for a couple of months I'd go over there, a few times a week, and we would work on things, and he was adding new stuff, and they got back together, to practice, wanted to kind of do another show soon, and so they
Mhm.
got back together to practice, and Mick was still playing second guitar, and they were practicing at a Primal skate shop that used to be here in Abilene. The guy that owned it's name's Johnny Thornton, and he's a
Yeah.
drummer as well. And so they were practicing at Johnny's shop, and so they were practicing, played a couple of songs, and got to one that Mike and I had worked on, and he told Mick, he said, "Hey, let Chris play this one. He knows it." And so I played that and a few others that we had worked on, and then Mick just kind of looked at me and was like, "Yeah, get your stuff and Just come on. And so that was how it started with me and RNC.
Yeah.
Was through that, and so that really a lot of people are surprised, but RNC is the only band I've ever been in.
Really?
Until I joined the band, I never played an entire full song.
Really?
I knew a little bit of this song and a little bit of that song, and because
Yeah.
like I said, before it was mostly, that was something I would do every now and then.
Yeah.
So I would pick I would pick it up, and and then I would not play it for a while. Man, I can't tell you how many guitars and amps and stuff I sold because I would I would pick it up and I would play for a little while, and then it would just sit there. And after about 3 or 4 months, it would just sit. I wasn't playing it. And I thought, well, I needed some new, a new monitor or whatever, for the art stuff. So I was like, well, I'll sell the guitar and stuff. I'm not playing it anymore anyway. And I
Yeah.
would sell it, and then a few months would go by, and all of a sudden, man, I had that itch really bad to play guitar, and so I'd go
Yeah.
buy a new one. And I mean, it was that cycle for a long time,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so it was just kind of like that, and but yeah, so that was how I got going in really playing music, and now I built a studio here at our
Yeah,
at
I've
our
seen
home.
pictures, man.
So
It looks awesome. Maybe one
thank
of these
you.
days you'll invite me out there to
No,
kind of
dude,
hang
you're
out.
welcome anytime.
Whenever you guys are
Anytime. So,
practicing or whatever, man, I'd love to come
yeah,
out there and just
yeah.
just be a fly on the wall, you know?
Oh, yeah, dude, anytime.
Yeah.
Right now, we're
I need a
working. So,
formal invite though, man. I'm not just gonna show up unannounced or uninvited, man.
uh,
I need
well,
a formal invite.
yeah, consider it an open invitation to you, but I'll let you know.
Oh, okay,
I'll
okay.
let
All
you
right,
know
yeah,
sometime.
appreciate it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, right now, so the last couple of years we kind of took off.
Hmm.
We played we played we got together one time to play a memorial for uh, Homer Winkles, who was one of the local venue owners who passed away.
Yeah.
So we got together and we played for that. But we had so much going on in our outside the band lives. A
Yeah.
couple of us. I was
Yeah,
moving.
you were breaking your arm every other month.
Well, yeah, I had a few accidents. I broke my hand. Ended up breaking one finger and dislocating the other one, and ended up having to go to rehab and stuff for it. To get it back functioning.
Yeah.
And then not long after that was all healed up, I was helping my cousin David with a job. He's a
Yeah.
carpenter, and on occasion I'll go help him do jobs. If I don't have any art or comic stuff going on, I'll go and work with him because I grew up in a family of carpenters, and
Yeah.
so I enjoy doing that. I like building stuff, and
Yeah.
everything as well. So I'll go help him, and we were putting in a dance floor at one of the uh, place here that used to be called the Upstairs Club. I think it may be
Hmm.
back to that, called the Stairs now or something.
Yeah.
But we were building a new dance floor up there, and it's up a big flight of stairs, and the only way to get the material up the stairs is to carry it up the stairs. There was no elevator, no other way to get it up there, and so we were carrying subfloor, and I went to switch my grip on it at about the time a gust of wind hit, and it ripped my bicep away from my elbow.
Man.
So yeah, so I ended up having to go get surgery for that, and the surgery didn't hold, and it ripped through again, and so I had to go have a second surgery. Had to go to Lubbock and have a second surgery,
Yeah.
which it's all healed now, and you can see a little bit.
Check it out.
Let me see, yeah, you can see the scar right there a little bit. I got a nice X, but but
X marks the spot.
right, exactly. But anyway, they had to go in there, and without being too graphic, they had to actually graft on a tendon to be able to attach it back to because it attaches to your forearm. And what they actually do, they have to drill a hole in the bone, and they pull the tendon down through the bone,
Hmm.
and they have what they call a button, which is like a little piece of titanium that goes through that hole and then flattens out and holds the bone in there, or holds the tendon in there, while the bone can grow over it to attach it. So they had to do that. So I was out for a little while with that. Um, I came back, and honestly, I came back a little bit early, uh, and I could tell with my playing I wasn't where I wanted to be.
Hmm.
And then we moved out here to my wife and I and kids. We bought some property here in Abilene, north of I-20,
Yeah.
uh, back in 2020 when we bought it. But we didn't have any water out here, so uh, during that time, uh, I was trying to get moved out here finally and getting things set up. My stepdad passed away uh, a little bit before that, and then my mom had to move in with us due to her health. So I had a lot going on. Mick had a whole lot going on in his personal life.
Yeah.
Uh, both Paul and Josh were super busy with work, and
Yeah.
so we just kind of we said, okay, we're gonna set it aside for a while. We've got so much going on. It was really difficult
Yeah.
to kind of get together and do what we needed to do.
Hmm.
And like I said, I knew my arm, my playing wasn't where I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Um, I was still struggling a bit between the fingers and the arm. So anyway, so we took that break. Um, and unfortunately, during that break, Don Bruton, who was our bass player, got diagnosed with cancer
Mm.
and ended up passing away.
Golly.
And it was a surprise, for him and us. He didn't even find out until I think it was November or December of last year that he found out.
Wow.
And then and then when we found out, it was just a couple of months later. I don't remember exactly the date, but it was about, I want to say it was somewhere in February, March, that he ended up passing away from it. And so yeah, so it was kind of like, man, what are we gonna do, kind of deal.
Yeah.
And so we had kind of, we were just kind of sitting on it for a while, not sure
Mm.
uh, what we were gonna do. And during that time, I was working on the studio here,
Hmm.
and knew that even if we didn't just we decided that Rear Naked Choke was done, I would still be doing music in some form or fashion,
Yeah.
and everything. And so that was the idea, and I got it all finished. And uh, one day Mick called me up, and he was like, "Hey man, I was been talking to this guy. His name is Eric, and he's a bass player, and he's actually he's heard of us, and he's not originally from here. He's actually from I think he's from up in Pittsburgh,
Hmm.
and but his brother lives down here, and he's been a bass player. He's played all kind of stuff. Um, and he's like he knows. I don't know if you know who Bootsy Collins is,
Hmm.
bass
I've heard
player.
the name. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a bass player. Does funk and stuff. But
Hmm.
like this guy, he's played with him and a
Hmm.
bunch of other people, and he was like, maybe we ought to just try to get together a little bit and
Yeah.
jam around. So we've been over the last couple of months now, month and a half. We've been working with him,
Hmm.
kind of filling him out. He's a great dude. He knows what he's doing and everything, and so
Yeah.
we're just kind of getting him get up to speed. Josh, who it seems that me and Josh are in a competition to see who can hurt themselves the worst. Uh, Josh,
What are the odds? I'd like to
it,
place a bet.
yeah, well, that's just it. So he had, he actually was just clowning around one day and ended up slipping and fell and shattered his shoulder and had to have a bunch of surgery and metal put in to put his shoulder back together. He wasn't sure if he was even going to be able to play guitar anymore because of it, and he recovered from it and has. But then about I'd say about a week before we were supposed to get together to start, kind of working with Eric and seeing what things were going on, he he slipped at work. He works on granite countertops, and they were delivering a countertop to install, and they had to go up steps, and he slipped, and the slab of granite landed on his foot and broke his foot.
Wow.
So he's been hobbling around in a boot, and's got about 4 more weeks in that boot before he's going to be, then they'll see kind of where it's at and if he has to wear it longer or if it's good to go or what. So
Yeah.
he's been hobbling around. He's still working, doing what he can do and stuff, but the foot's been a problem for him. So
Yeah.
we're just
Well,
kind of,
hopefully here pretty soon, man, we can hear something new, maybe some new music or an announcement that you guys are going to be doing some shows,
yeah,
and I definitely want to be there. I wrote down a couple of things that maybe some lyrics for, through our conversation that might be some good lyrics for the song. I mean, you could be the judge, but maybe it could start out like, which is really a story of my life. I mean, it says I was clowning around one day and I broke my shoulder, and then they had to drill a hole, drill a hole to connect the bone to attach it. So you might be able to work that into a song, man. It's like
you never know, man.
some
Nick,
hardcore lyrics right there.
yeah, those are true stories.
That's
Uh,
right. Those
true
make the best
stories.
songs, right? Whenever it comes from
Sure.
personal experience, I think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
Yeah.
yeah, we are we're like I said, we're not rushing things. We're just trying to get Eric up to speed and everything, and then we're going to kind of look at doing some stuff and getting some shows going. Actually, last night, me and Mick and Eric got together just to kind of work on some more, getting him up to speed and just filling around between things. Came up with a little bit of a new song idea, so you know we'll see where that goes and everything. But now that the studio is ready, that's one of the big things I wanted to do was to make sure that we had a place where one we can come in and rehearse and everything, but it's ready and set up so we can record if we're
Yeah.
working on new material or if we're ready to start, doing the pre-production on an album or whatever, even to record the tracks that then we send off to someone to mix and master
Yeah.
or that kind of deal. So yeah, so that the hope is that we're gonna put out some new music, have a few shows, maybe late in the year or early next year. Um, we'll just kind of have to see how it goes from there. So
Well, I'm definitely gonna be tuned in, man. I follow you guys on everything. Anytime you make a post, I'm aware of it. I consider myself, kind of like the Merovingian in the Matrix, a trafficker of information, and
right,
uh, and so I just kind of embrace that, and try to embody that to the best of my ability. But man, there's so many things that I can talk to, man. But I don't want to keep you from. I'm sure Steph is probably like, "Hey, Chris, dinner is ready. Get your butt over here, or it's gonna go cold." And
yeah,
so I want to let you get back to that. But before we do, I need your help, man.
okay,
I've been trying to develop a sign off for this show, right? And I mean, I'm drawing from inspirations and stuff like that. Keep it classy, Abilene, and Vaya con Dios from this other show. But I remember one time whenever you guys were putting a show for, I believe it was your cousin, right?
yeah,
And you were doing it at the old drive-in theater,
yep,
and then I helped you guys with that. I said, man, I think what you should do is you should say I did it all for the Mookie. And
yep,
if you remember that, so that
yep.
was kind
All
of
for the
the,
Mookie, yep.
yeah, I was proud of that. And
That
so
was.
and so you owe me one. So I need help with the signing off with this show, man. What you got?
Oh man,
It's
uh,
behind the X's and O's.
it's behind the X's and O's. Uh, let's see. Oh, see, I was gonna say, with with the Red Alpha deal, you could say, well, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
But
Yeah.
um, but I don't know, man. I don't
All
know.
right. Send
You
it
put
to me and then we'll edit it and we'll put it in there. But for now, I just want to say thank you to Chris Summers, everybody that you're connected with. Shout out again to Rear Naked Choke, to Spa, everybody that we said, the community that you're involved in that's connected with you, man. We are blessed to have you. Don't go nowhere. Don't break your
not
arm.
planning on it.
Don't slip and break your shoulder. Don't do none of that stuff, man. We need you around, and make sure that you send me that invite so that I can come out and check you guys out. And like I said, just be a fly on the wall.
Yes, sir.
So, Chris, I appreciate your time, man. Go and
And I
have your
appreciate
dinner.
you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go and have your time, and I'll be signing off here pretty soon.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How
All
do I
right,
leave
guys.
this?
So now that Chris is, if he leaves, I think he loves being with us.
Yeah.
And so if Chris finally leaves, I'll be signing off with the show.
Okay,
Look at him.
maybe.
He still wants to hang around.
Hey, man. I
It's a
don't.
post-credit
This is
scene.
a new. This is a whole new thing for me. I don't know how to start. How to leave. Oh, there it is. All right.
Post-credit scene. Like Deadpool. Are you still
Right.
here? So, guys, that was Chris Summers, a friend of mine. He is a local artist, graphic designer, comic book artist, uh, rhythm guitar player for Rear Naked Choke, one of my favorite local bands here, who has graced us with his presence for today's show. I hope that you guys got a lot out of it. Hopefully, you guys got to see kind of an inside or behind the scenes look at Chris Summers. With all the things that he's involved in, on top of that, I consider him a friend. Him and his wife Stephanie are friends of ours, and we love them and want to support everything that they do because they've been great supporters of ours. And so, before I sign off, I just wanted to say, anybody who's out there, if you are a business or organization that you have a story that you just want to tell, and you're willing to sit down and allow me to fumble through the questions and the back and forth, I would love to have you as a guest. Just send us a message in whatever platform that we're connected, and I will get you lined up. Every Wednesday, you can count on us doing a show, hopefully with the guests. But if not, it'll be myself and my wife, and we're going to be talking about behind the scenes stuff, not the highlight reels that you see in our social media posts. It's stuff that you may not even know about us, like the thing with Chris. I never knew he lived in Lubbock. That was awesome to hear. And I didn't know that that's how he came into the band Rear Naked Choke. I thought he was born in the band. And but it just turns out that everybody has a story, and everybody has a story that is worth hearing, and that's what we're trying to do here at the Behind the X's and O's show. So until next time, keep it classy, Abilene. Signing off. Vaya con Dios.